Nice and relaxing. And next up, taking a peek at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Kia EV6. So, few things to point out. This specific one, I mean, obviously, look at that cluster screen. Hold on. So you've got two 12.3-inch screens. So you've got the 12.3-inch cluster screen, 12.3-inch multimedia screen. But if you want to walk through in that screen specifically, you'll find it down in the description of the video. But let's go through some basics. So the wheel itself, really nice and comfortable. There is the option for a heated steering wheel, so you can toggle that on or off right down the center stack there if you'd like to. It's nice. Manual telescoping steering wheel. Sit as by our left knee. There's a release. Move it in, out, up, and down to find that perfect position, and then click it to lock it back into place. Stick on the left-hand side. There are a few different ways that we can get to different lights. I always just recommend keeping it in the auto mode. It means that the vehicle is going to determine whether or not our different lights are turned on. Blinkers with, look at that. Blind view monitor, which is amazing. And honestly, like one of the big benefits of that blind view monitor is that you can see what's going on next to you. Like, yeah, could we just look next to us, left, right? Sure. But being able to just kind of do a quick check that way, I think is brilliant. Really, really like it. And then, obviously with your high beams, you can flash in, out, auto beams, etc. So with the auto beam enabled, if there's an oncoming vehicle, it's automatically going to dim your beams for you and then bring them right back on again. Stick on the right-hand side is to control what's going on with your front wipers. There's no option for a rear wiper inside of this thing. But a few other highlights. So you've got some paddle shifters inside of this thing. So it's essentially going to be your minus button on the right side and then your plus button on the left side. You do need to be in drive in order to use them. But one of the benefits there is that you're essentially in different modes for your regenerative braking. So in zero mode, that essentially means that there's next to no resistance, versus in your max mode, that's more or less like it's I-pedal, so that's one pedal driving. So what that means is that you can take your foot off the accelerator and the car is going to stop very, very rapidly. I've got the vehicle in drive right now, auto hold setting on, but the vehicle is held in place. And that's obviously because of some of the settings that we've got here. Back into park again. So very, very useful safety settings that are available here. And honestly, play around with the paddle shifters a little bit because it's going to change up the complete dynamics of the ride when you do it. Pad on the left-hand side there is going to be for your smart cruise control system. Pad on the right side, it's going to be a few things. So this one is your voice command prompt. So you can do things like change songs, radio stations, navigate using your voice. I honestly recommend getting used to the voice command prompt because there are so many things that you can do. You can change around, like you can turn on your heated steering wheel if you want to. You can change around your commands so you can look at navigation, change a route, start a route. You could change your radio station, change your songs. There are so many options that are available. So I definitely recommend getting used to the voice command prompt just because of how much you can do with it. Answer or hang up on a phone call. You can either increase or decrease your volume. You've got a few different mode buttons. So this one is going to let you change between. So hold on, if we go into, let's go to our radio there. So this lets you go between different modes. So it's essentially AM, FM, Sirius XM, etc. If you had a USB stick with MP3s, that would show up as an available option as well. You've got another custom button, which lets you do a few different things. So if you wanted to customize dope in your map, cancel routes, and a few other things. You've also got this button there, and that's going to be to go between all of your different stations there. So your different presets that are saved in. So you could easily tweak out your presets there just under radio. But like I said, if you want to walk through on how to use the system, you'll find it down in the description of the video. So very straightforward there. One interesting thing on the audio side of things is that up and down lets you increase, decrease your volume. You can also push in if you wanted to mute your audio out instead. As I mentioned, on the left-hand side, this is going to be for your smart cruise control system. So once you're driving, you would turn the smart cruise on. It says conditions not met because I'm stopped. So once you start driving, you turn it on, and then you either press up or down this way, and that's to either increase or decrease 1 kilometer or 1 mile per hour at a time as you go. This one is a distance indicator. So how close or far away do you want to be away from the vehicle that's in front of you? There you go. Perfect. There we go. So you can see there, little car icon along the very top. So how close or far do you want to be away from the vehicle in front of you there? Or you can toggle the whole system off again. And then this one is your lane keeping system. So what that's going to do is it's essentially going to keep you perfectly balanced in your lane as you go. technically need your hands on the wheel, but it is useful just in case you kind of slip up, you lose focus for a second, whatever the case may be. And then you can toggle any of these safety settings on or off if you want. We've got pages buttons there, and that's going to take you through a few different options inside of the cluster screen. So what I'm going to do, we're going to be using the little pages button there, and then the up-down arrow icons. Let's zoom in a tiny little bit, and then focus you in. There you go. All right, so main screen there, that's going to be, and you can kind of see that there are some other settings that are available as you go. But right in the very middle there, you can see that there are two individual pages. So along the very top, you can see what's currently going on with your road speed, what gear you're currently in, what's going on with your follow systems, your turns, and things like that. So we've got a series of different safety settings that are turned on right now. Or I said you've got the flexibility of toggling any of these systems on, off, whatever the case may be. What's going on with your current speed, your current charge level. Along the very bottom side, auto hold. So that's one that's going to hold you in place if you come to a stop and you take your foot off the brake. You're ready to go, what your current charge level is, what's going on with our regenerative braking level. So as you can see there, we go between level 0, iDrive, which is so one pedal driving is available there as well. So a few different options there. Your current outside temperature, what's currently going on with your economy. So it's essentially like the equivalent of like fuel economy, but just in the EV world. So you can see that you're using up 19.4 kilowatt hours per 100. And that's just because I'm parked and I've got the AC blasting right now. And then your current odometer reading. So as of right now at 543K. And then you can also go up and down between a few other things. So this one is going to be your attention level. So if you start to veer over too many times without signaling, that's going to start dropping down and tell you should probably take a break eventually. And then you can also press and hold OK in order to reset it. Similarly here, so you've got basic settings, so you can press and hold OK in order to get to some settings, which pull up some different options on the little cluster screen there, or the media screen there instead. But pressing the pages button gives you the different drive info screens. So you've got 3 different ones. So drive info, that's based off of when the vehicle was last turned on. You're after recharging, so when you go to recharge the vehicle, you're charged up and you unplug. How much distance have you gotten since that charge? And then what's your total accumulated info since you reset it or whatever the case may be. So you've got a few different options that are available there, and you can reset any of these things just by going to the screen, pressing OK, and you're set to go. So very straightforward. Next pages button there, you can see just a simple compass, but if let's go to our map, searching for an address off to the side. So you can see what I'm doing there. And what I'm doing is, while I'm driving, interesting. So I can't actually use the map unless you're parked or if you use the voice command prompt. But let's navigate to Tim Hortons. No. All right, and start guidance. There you go. Right through the cluster screen, you can see what's going on. So you've got 2 different options there. So you've got what's going on with your distance to the location, or you can see what directions you need to be taking instead. So it's kind of neat that you've got that available as an option right through the cluster, or it just defaults back to a regular compass instead. Pushing the pages button gets you to a little bit more basic information. So you need to be driving in order to be able to have your tire pressure display. Yeah, you got to be going further than that, but it is available there as an option, so it's kind of neat. And then back to just your main pages instead. So I know that's a little bit of information, nothing too crazy. The only other thing to point out is that this thing does have the option for a head-up display. So, this specific one doesn't have it. It's in the higher trims of the vehicle. That is the head-up display that you're going to find inside of the Kia EV6. So it's augmented reality mode, essentially. And you can kind of tell just because there's so much information that's available inside of it. But inside of the multimedia screen here, we've got a few different things that we can do in order to be able to adjust some things here. So let me zoom out a tiny little bit, go back home, and let's go into setup. I believe it is display. No. I'm looking at vehicle settings. Derp, that makes sense. Head-up display. There we go. And you've got a few options. So display mode, either augmented reality, where as you're driving, it's showing you these neat lanes across the board. Standard mode, or you can disable the head-up display as well. But with the augmented reality, hold on, I'm going to show you something here. Error match. There we go. So you can kind of see here. Let's zoom in. Okay, as you go through. So you can kind of see, obviously, like it wouldn't flicker on you like that, but it would show you what's going on as you drive. If you've got different things showing on the screen, so if you've got, here we go, content selection, turn-by-turn directions would show up there, convenience info, blind spot system. So if somebody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle, it's going to highlight in your side view mirrors to let you know, but it's also going to let you know inside of that head-up display. So it's going to display it kind of differently. It also shows it inside of the cluster screen as you go. Along the very bottom, you can see a series of different drive modes. So 3 different modes that are available. So it's either the Eco, Normal, or Sport mode. And it's kind of neat because you can see when you're driving in each mode, what it does to your overall kilometers that you can use as well. So it does end up playing with a few different systems inside the vehicle. So, I mean, obviously with the Sport mode, it's going to give you an infinitely sportier performance, unlocking some different potential there, versus the more relaxed Eco mode instead. It's kind of neat that it changes up the dynamic look of the cluster screen. But one thing is that if you like the look of the Sport mode screen, you just don't want to be in Sport mode, through the multimedia screen, you've got the flexibility of adjusting that out instead. So it's pretty nice. It's nice overall, but that's everything you need to know about the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the EV6.